Blog Talk Radio.
Welcome to this Saturday's edition of Super Conscious Outlet, featured on Blog Talk Radio, Universal Radio 2. We are excited to have as our media spokesperson, God King Grasshopper. He is known in the community as an African-centered motivational teacher and a service provider that inspires the youth to understand African awareness in his local community. He currently supports and facilitates events for the organizations of the Ka Men's Society, the House of Amun-Ra, and Sma Tawi. He sits alongside as co-host with the divine goddess Koshana Quayle Jones. Currently, she facilitates the learning environment as an expert metaphysician who teaches on the principles of African spiritual science. Queen Goddess Koshana is the founder of numerous organizations, the Voice of Mayat, and Global African Awakening, which can be found on Facebook. Her sole purpose in life is to motivate and awaken her people. Please give a special attention to our co-host, God King Grasshopper, and our featured host, Goddess Quayle Koshana Jones.
Peace, family, and welcome once again to the Super Conscious Outlet. I am your host, Koshana Quayle, and I'm joined today by my amazing God King and co-host, God King Grasshopper. God King Grasshopper, are you with us today?
Yes, I am with us, and I am definitely happy to be a part of this program today. So let me go and start off by giving a shout-out to our sponsors. First off, want to give a strong shout-out to Global African Awakening, which can be found on Facebook.com. It cultivates an environment that is positive for those going through an awakening. If you want more information, simply inbox Grass, Hop, or Koshana through Facebook outlet. I would also like to give attention to Blacks Be Like, which can also be found on Facebook.com/Blacks Be Like and the number 1. Also, please check out my Sistars Keeper, which can also be found on Facebook.com/My Sistars. Sistars is spelled SISTARS, Keeper. Also, we have Success Goddess Money. She's an expert with the credit repairing, financial consultant, and a real estate agent. If you want to get in contact with Miss Money, you can reach her by using Facebook as an outlet by simply typing in Success, SUCCESS, space Goddess, GODIS, space Money, MONEY. That's through the Facebook outlet. Also, we have Devon Allen, fitness trainer. He has a program called Reshape the People's Workout and Meal Plan. You can reach this brother by calling him at 310-438-0154, or you can simply inbox him. You can simply email him at dthings, that's the letter D, THINGS, 1236 at AOL.com. We also have another profound organization which can be found on Facebook, which is called Wisdom from the Field. It is an organization that provides service for the community with diapers, giveaways, food co-ops, and free haircuts for young men. You can reach this organization once again through the Facebook outlet. Simply type in Wisdom, WISDOM, space from the field, or you can reach Brother Kemet at area code 323-606-1958. And lastly, if you're in the greater Los Angeles area on a Sunday morning around 10:30 a.m., please visit the famed Class Unity Center of African Spiritual Science, where you can get some food for thought, nourishment for the soul, and fruit for the spirit from the master teacher and senior minister, the Righteous Right Reverend Mary Kai Robb. You can go and find this establishment, this temple, at 7825 Southwestern Avenue, Los Angeles, California, 90047. So those are the sponsors today. And before we go into this very profound topic program that we have, I would like to take this opportunity right now to dedicate this program, this show, to a fallen soldier who crossed over, made his transition today. This man's name is Wayne Farr. He was a member of the original Black Panther Party Southern California chapter. For those that may not know about this gentleman, he was involved in the 41st and Central shootout with law enforcement, December the 8th, 1969. They actually have a documentary on DVD about 41st and Central, and this gentleman was a young man, teenager, and was on the front lines of the good fight for the liberation and salvation of black people when he was with the original Black Panther Party. Wayne Farr has crossed over and made his transition to the next realm of life. So he's right now probably embracing the great Apprentice Bunchy Carter, John Huggins, and the other great heroes who's on the front lines of the good fight. So anyway, we give a shout out and we give an ashe to the great Wayne Farr. Koshana. Are you with us?
Yes, I'm here.
All right. Let's go on and get into the show, Queen. We got a very profound show today that's going to prick our consciousness and definitely educate us, and it should be some very honest discourse and dialogue today. So let's get into it, though.
Yes, I'm excited. For me, the topic of the show today is Moorish Science. It's time to uncover the secrets of our history as Moors. I don't know about you, Brother Goshop, but for me, learning about the Moors, I was not privileged to any type of information about the Moors until the Hidden Colors documentary came out. So I'm pretty much a late bloomer. So many other people may have already been informed on them, but I didn't know anything. Every time I heard about Moors or Moroccan or Morocco or any of that type of stuff, it was always in the context of being Spanish or from Spain. I recall watching a movie that I really enjoyed, which was called the Celestine Prophecy, and it's just about the power of thought and all type of things. And in the movie, they mentioned that it was the prophecy was found in a Celestine ruins that they believe the Moors left it. And I remember watching that documentary, the film about maybe 10 years ago, and never did it register to me that they were talking about us. So I don't know about you, but when did you become privileged to the information on the Moors?
Well, I've been privileged, I guess, to have been associated with the Moorish teachings, even though I never became a member of the Moorish Science Temple. Pretty much when I got awakened, and the Moors that I was associated with, they were very astute and was very committed to a lot of different methods of how they felt we can gain justice in this country and throughout the world. One of those methods and one of those means was nationality, that I'm pretty sure we're going to talk about today. Nationality being a center of one's being. You need to know your nationality. Another means that it was very strong in advocating was you need to know the law. The Moors that I knew, they were very committed to studying law as best way they can. Know different terminologies, different codes, to be able to represent yourself to an extent in the courtroom. So they was very astute when it came to that department. Another thing I learned from the Moors that I was affiliated with was that they practiced Islam. You know what I mean? They was very intricate in the Islam practice and the Islam beliefs. And also they were very sound when it came to the etymology of words. I do believe that might tie into nationality and law. Need to know the words, learning the certain semantics of the words, the prefixes, the origins, the theories of words. So they was very keen when it came to the words, your nationality. There's a whole bunch of other things that I can talk about. Once again, the Moors that I was affiliated with, and I'm pretty sure the distinguished guests that you have on the show today will be able to elaborate even more so on what the Moors represent to them and what it represents as a whole. So those are some examples I can give as it pertains to me being acquainted to an extent with the Moorish Science.
What age were you? You said it was like, what, 10 years ago?
Yeah, I was young, early 20s.
I want to ask you real quick before we even bring our guests on, how did it affect you? Because I know that for me, what I've learned so far about the Moors was that, one, they civilized Europe, and then two, let's just stay there. How did it affect you to know that you had a piece of American history or European history that was left out, completely left out of the history books? You know, I sometimes I can say, okay, well, they left out lots of Africa, but, it is American history, and so maybe that's why they don't tell you too much about Africa, but how did they manage to leave out pertinent information like that? How did it affect you when you learned that you had a piece of history that was just completely left out? And that not only, to me, the most profound part was that we civilized Europe. How did that affect you when you found that out?
Well, first of all, when I found out that, really before I got acquainted with the Moorish Science Temple, when I got awakened through Commanding Spiritual Science and just through history as a whole, it was very assuring, that we gave humanity or civilization's first humanity and humanity's first reality. So it was just knowing history as a whole, knowing that we come from a great, mighty dynasty, supreme heritage, and our story is the equivalent to world history and the assimilation of honest history. So it's very assuring, and it gave me the confidence to really want to go out here and maximize my potential, because our history, especially chronologically, is so long. It's before Alpha, after Omega. It's so abroad, that no one can really learn all the sciences, all the language, all the culture when it comes to our story in one lifetime. Simply not enough days, I don't think, to know all our story. But a real conscious person, a real humble person would never stop seeking, digging, and searching to know all that he or she can learn about our culture, our history, once again, which is the assimilation of honest history in this physical expression of living here on this earth realm. So all the history really helped me. And on down the line, being a seeker, being a searcher, when it came to the Moors, that we civilized Europe, that's reassuring, when it comes to the Moors, that, that we were pretty much here first, we are citizens of the universe, you dig, and it is definitely very, very reassuring when I learned all those other avenues when it comes to Moors history, and it's an honor. All of our history, all of the science, all of the culture, all of the heritages, all of the intricacies as it pertains to our story, I think it's all awesome. Once you learn it all, attempt to learn it all, it can just pretty much allow one to really, once again, establish greatness in its physical expression and living, so
right.
That's my take on that.
I think what you just said about the importance of us learning everything that pertains to our people, what true knowledge of self is. One of the things that I think for a lot of us is that we need to not try to box in or limit what it is to be an African or what it is to be a being, human being, spiritual being, or whatever that is that you like to label yourself on this planet, because our people have been all across the world. So we have so much history. We're like, as soon as you think you figured it out, it's like, oh, yeah, but there's a piece over here, which makes sense when you are people who have migrated all over the planet, who have civilized the entire world. It makes sense that you would have a very a huge history that is not limited. There's so much that as soon as you think you know it, there's so much more to know.
Our
that's
history,
why
you know what? Let me cut you off, but our history is, saying, like they say, Black History or African History Month is relegated to February. That's just total fabrication, though. Our history,
right.
our story is unlimited, you know what I mean? It has no limits, you know what I mean? That's why
right.
like one of my jaggers taught me, our mind should be like a parachute. It works best when it's open, so it should be open to learn different things within alignment with righteous doing, within alignment of goodwill, within alignment of the many different parallels or essentials of the universe, within alignment of the sovereign spirit, with alignment of doing what is righteous. It's good to learn all you can, No one has all the answers because no one's been asked all the questions. And that's very key, especially in the community, People get a certain amount of knowledge, they find an ideology, find a philosophy, find a certain preference, find a certain organization, and it's the one-all-for-all, And that's just not true, Our history is so big. There's so many different sciences, so many different artifacts, agriculture. There's so many different stuff in life to learn. The wise man or woman will never stop learning. Will always be a perpetual learning. And that's what I think is a wise person, a humble person, is to always be a student, along with being a master student from the cradle to the grave, or from the unctus to the unctus. So our history is unlimited. So that's how I feel about it.
I share to that. Well, on that note, God King, let's bring in our first guest, Rashad. Rashad, are you with us? Brother Rashad Bey, are you with us? Peace. Can you say your name for me? I'm having a hard time pronouncing that middle name, so I didn't want to butcher it.
It's Parham, Rashad Parham Bey.
Rashad Parham Bey. Well, welcome to the Superconscious Outlet. We are truly appreciative that you have the time to join us and to inspire and inform our listeners. First, just to start off, I want to ask you a question, and I would like if you could give us just a brief history of the Moors and their origins.
Well, the Moors, let's see here. I'll give you the genealogy. The Moors are descendants of the ancient Moabites and Canaanites.
Right.
And the term Moor has been used throughout history, from King Sargon, the head of the Amuru Empire, which is the first world state. He's also known as Nimrod. The Moor, it has different definitions. One of which means to anchor. It's a verb. It means to anchor or to tie a vessel to the land. So, in my understanding, being tied to the land is synonymous with indigenous, coming, with the land. And the Moors were not just descendant of Africa. You have Moors that were Ireland. You have Moors that were, to this day, in Sri Lanka. You have Moors that are in the Philippines. You have Moors in South Africa. We happen to be the American Moors, the people that are tied to this land, the people that are indigenous to this land.
So are you saying that the word Moor is just a universal word that just represents an indigenous person?
Yes, from my understanding, I would say that Moor.
Okay, now I don't know. Real quick, sorry to interrupt you. In the documentary Hidden Colors, I believe they were saying that Moor actually meant black, like the Moor was the color black also. Is that incorrect?
Yeah, I think that's a bit ambiguous. I won't be able to elaborate on that. The word Moor, from my understanding, is a term that means one with the land, or anchored to the land. Indigenous.
Okay.
That's from my understanding.
Okay. Okay, well, that's deep right there, because I was under the impression that the word Moor actually meant black, just from what I heard. So that's something that I want all our listeners to take a note on and look it up and research that, because that I always was taught that it meant black. So I'm glad you informed us on that knowledge. Now let me ask you something, because I noticed that you said the Moors are basically indigenous people from wherever they are. But the Moors that we were talking about that came to Europe and civilized Europe and ran Europe for over 1,000 years, are they the North Africans from Kemet, or are they different people?
They are the North Africans from Kemet, from ancient Moab. You know, one thing about nations, we tend to go by different names at different times in history. Say, for instance, the French. They were known as the Franks at one time. The English, they were known as the Angles or the Anglos. The Gauls were who we know as the French, or not the French, the Germans. So time goes on, you know, nations tend to change names. Moor has always been around. Where am I going with this? But as far as the Moors of Spain, yes, those are the ones that came from Kemet, that set up nations in West Africa, Morocco, Mauritania, Senegal, in these regions that went into Spain. Yes, those would be those Moors.
Okay.
Yeah, Brother Rashad Bey, this is Grasshopper. Welcome to Super Conscious Outlet.
Thank you, brother. Peace.
Yeah, peace. Very profound, like the way you broke it down. I also would like to ask a question. You pretty much gave a good illustration example on the origins and history of the Moors. If there is a difference or distinction, can you expound on, once again, if there is a distinction between the original original Moors as opposed to the Moorish Science Temple of America that was founded by Noble Drew Ali, I do believe in 1913. Is there a difference? And if there is, can you expound? And also, can you expound, I know some similarities, on the similarities of the Moorish Science Temple of America and the original Moors?
Well, the Moorish Science Temple of America was founded to bring the Moors back to their identity, the unconscious Moors that we know as black people, African Americans. This is the same bloodline of the people that were in Spain, because you have to understand, like if you follow history, the last Moorish stronghold in Spain was defeated in 1491, and then you have this remarkable explosion of exploration by the same nation that defeated the Moors, which is Spain, in 1492. So I would say prior to 1492, what was hindering or stopping the Spanish or any other European powers from finding this new land, right? So there was an empire, there was a Moorish empire that sailed the seven seas, that had been everywhere on the globe, including America. So there really isn't a difference between the Moors of antiquity and us today. It's a continuous bloodline.
Indeed. What are some of the what are some of the fundamental teachings of the Moors? What is their ideology? It can be religion, preferences, spiritual concepts. What are some of the fundamental teachings?
Okay. As far as the Moorish science, it's a study of self. It's a study of higher self and lower self, and this is demonstrated or depicted in the crown that we wear, which is called the fez. At the top, you have 360 degrees of infinite knowledge. The opening that goes around your head is 360 degrees of finite knowledge. So it's higher self and lower self. The purpose of life, in my understanding from Moorish science, is to conquer the lower self, to keep it in check, achieve greatness on the spiritual plane. So it's Islam, but it's not in the understanding of what most people think Islam is. Islam is practiced by every creation of the Most High. Islam is the practice of being yourself, of following your true nature. So what is the true nature of man? This is what we learn in Moorish science. You know, our true nature is to ascend to the highest heights in life.
I'm glad you brought that up, because I was really going to ask you that question when we spoke the other night. What is the difference between the Nation of Islam, Sunni Islam, and Moorish Islam? What's the difference?
Well, I really couldn't speak on. I don't really know their teachings. I don't know Sunni Islam. I don't know the teachings of the Nation of Islam. But I can tell you that the Moorish Science Temple not only emphasizes higher and lower self teachings, we emphasize nationality, which is indicative upon every person on planet Earth. According to the U.S. Code Title 8, Aliens and Nationality, it says nationality determines the political status of an individual. So we emphasize that, like, if you don't have a name, or if you go by color, or say, for instance, you go by African American, which is 2 continents. Africa is has 54 different nations in it with different customs and different flags and different names. Everybody is an individual, you know. The world is known by nations, so it's like that's our stance on it. Nationality is the order of the day. You have to have a name.
Okay. Let's before we go on, I want to bring in our second guest, get that masculine and feminine balance. We're going to bring in a goddess. We're going to bring Goddess Sira Bianca, who is an herbal alchemist, a certified plant scientist. She is the owner of Amar's Healing Service and has assisted many in reaching ultimate health and wellness by simply connecting them to their mother nature. She is also part of the female hip-hop group Heaven on Earth, as well as the co-producer of the Real Family Reunion, Return of the Gods, which is a Pan-African celebration geared towards the upliftment of humanity. Additionally, she is the former youth public affairs of the Moorish Science Temple in Los Angeles, and she is permanently dedicated to the resurrection of She is permanently dedicated to the resurrection of the original man on the planet Earth. So without any further ado, let's bring in the goddess, Sira Herb Alchemist. Sira, are you with us?
Divine greetings. I am here. Can you hear me, sister?
Yes, I can. Welcome. Thank you so much for joining us this afternoon. We have with us Brother Rashad Parham Bey. He's also located in Los Angeles. I'm not sure if you guys know each other already or not. Rashad, this is Goddess Sira.
Islam, sister.
It's a pleasure.
Now, Sira, we've been discussing so far some of the origins of the Moors, their history. I am completely blown away from some of the things that Rashad has informed us on, and this is what happens when you don't know everything. I was always taught or was under the impression that the Moors were definitely people of African descent, that there was no such thing as a white Moor, Mexican Moor, or any of that stuff. That was just something that they used to confuse us. That there was no European Moors, that the European Moors were of African descent. But what Rashad just informed us on was that Moor itself, the word Moor means indigenous people, meaning that everyone who's indigenous to that land is considered a Moor. Can you elaborate on that a little bit, share your insight on that?
Well, I can elaborate on the word Moor. in terms of what we can further connect it to, it relates to being a traveler. It also relates to being a being of love, which is a huge aspect of Moorish science in and of itself. But with that, so it relates to that. Now, in terms of it being about, the indigenous person to that land or what have you, I mean, just tying in that basic understanding, I can see it from that perspective as well. But when you talk about Moorish, you're talking about being, in terms of like Moorish American, you're also connecting that to the land of Morocco, and so that's where the nationality aspect ties in, because to have a nationality, and that's another, like the brother was demonstrating, I was listening to the last portion of what the brother was stating in terms of, us calling ourselves African American, or ourselves calling ourselves black or what have you. For one, in a place called Black Land, people say, well, Kemet is the Black Lands, and it is the land of melanation, I would say. But when you're dealing with, like, the word black, it originates from German speak, which means blank or bleached. So when you're dealing with a melanated species, clearly they cannot be blank. You understand? Clearly they're a colorful, high vibratory race. Dealing with the full spectrum, and that's why we are able to absorb all of the rays of Ra, or the sun, because of the melanation. And so there's just been a bit of wordplay, and again, in dealing with nationality, you can't really relate that to a land, you know what I mean? You can't say, okay, well, I'm black. Okay, well, who are the black people? Yeah, we're right now functioning as a bastardized race, but where is our land? You know what I mean? What land tying ourselves to? What background? We a nation. I'm calling ourselves a nation, a black nation. And, you get concepts of that or what have you. Excuse me, because I don't want to go on ranting. But yeah, I think a lot of people get confused when they say, or when they hear the Moors say, like, we're not black. I know, brother, I know you probably get a lot of slack about that. Like, what do you mean you're not black? You don't want to, like, oh, you want to be, paler in skin. You don't like your color or this or that. And I really want to just make a point clear, because it has nothing to do with that at all. And I think that's one of the biggest things that the Prophet wanted us to know. And when I speak of the Prophet, I'm speaking of Prophet Noble Ali, honors to him. It's not so much that the Moors are saying, like, we don't want to be our color, or, we are ashamed of ourselves. What we are establishing is a class, is being a part of a certain class, because black and white isn't really, like, it's not nationality,
Right.
It's color. Race is equivalent, but it really is. It's two different spectrums of subject. And also black means dead. You know what I mean? It also just relates to being of the lower class, or what they would consider of the lower species. And this is also something in dealing with our brothers, who have been getting, what I would say, hung. The modern day lynchings that we've been having is, for one, when you have no back and when you have no nation to tie yourself to, who does your person owe a responsibility to? No one.
Right.
So if they slay you, who is protecting you from that slaying?
Right.
There is nothing. You know what I mean? And so that is the importance of us establishing nationality, and for one, owning land.
Now, I have a question for you both based on that. Now, why wouldn't our nationality be African? why would it be Moor first and not African? Whichever one.
Okay. Go ahead. Well, our teachings tell us that the reason we're Moors is because we are descendants of Moroccans born in America. Now, prior to the United States being set up, which is a corporation, a lot of this land was owned or controlled by the Sultan of Morocco. That's the part of history that it's not hidden, but if your focus isn't there, then you're going to miss it. So we were subjects of Morocco. That's why we would be Moors. We wouldn't be Africans because Africa is a continent. It's not a nation. So you have to have a definite nation with a flag, a name, a divine creed that you govern yourselves by.
Oh, okay. That's deep. Sida, did you want to comment on that?
Yes, Sister, could you repeat the question?
Why would we not affiliate ourselves? And then I have another one, too. Why would we not call ourselves African? Why would we say Moor? And he was explaining that African. Okay.
I understand. Yeah. Well, it goes back and of course, what the brother said. Africa is a continent. It's a very large continent, and it has many, many different cultures and nations within that one continent. Me personally, when someone comes to me and they say, well, what is your nationality? I personally say Trinidadian American because that's my nationality. That's the nation that I tie myself to based on my bloodline from my family. As you know, my family is from Trinidad. And so when you're saying you're a Moorish American, you're saying you're under the protection of the Moroccan Empire, which is in northern Africa. And so that is why you have to, Jesse Jackson created the term African American, which I can say it is a step away from being black, right? It's an attempt to reestablish that connection to a particular land, And so saying you're Ghanaian or you're from Ghana, or saying you're Ethiopian, or saying that you're Sudanese, you're connecting yourself to a particular landmass. Saying you're Moroccan, you're connecting yourself to a particular landmass that has been established, that has an army, that has, a government, that has all of these different things. So it's just being more exact in a sense, or more particular. To say you're African American is just way too general. You know what I mean? In dealing with who you are, and of course we know we are even more. We go beyond being just beings of the land. We are still at the beginning beings of the stars. You know what I mean?
Right.
The structure upon the planet Earth. These are the politics, in a sense, and the categorizing of the human family.
Right.
Hey, this is Grasshopper. I want to expound on that because I had a lineage test. It traced my lineage back to the Mokamba tribe in Kenya, and I know with nationality, I do believe the prefix of nationality means born, where you were born. And I want to pretty much ask, do we put more emphasis on where you were born or where your origin is? Because my lineage test traced me back to Kenya, to Africa. So that's why I embrace my origin along where I'm at, because I, like James Small said on Hidden Colors 2, I'm not going to discredit what my ancestors did in this country. You know what I mean? We have right to this land just as much as anyone because we're citizens of the universe. But I also trace my origin. I write myself in Africa because my origin, my lineage test traced me back to Kenya, Mokamba tribe. So
in nationality, my bloodline is to Kenya. So technically,
Exactly.
can I call myself a Kenyan? Yeah? Say it again?
Oh, go ahead, brother. Excuse me. I'm listening.
Oh, no. I was saying my bloodline is to Kenya. You know what I mean? I did lineage test. It's to Kenya. You know what I mean? So I could not origin-wise, I could say I'm a Kenyan. You know what I mean?
And so that's you reestablishing nationality. You can tie yourself to, and that's the whole point. That's what the prophet wanted us to do, is just to simply tie ourselves to a nation, not to have that protection of the nation. And he went and got, based upon his own research, he got the understanding that we could have, if we don't know, if we're totally clueless as to what we could connect to, you have the Moroccan Empire. You know what I mean? And that's why people are like, okay, well, you're calling yourself Moorish American, but your people aren't from Morocco or this or that. But with us being in America, this is Africa. In a sense, where you're dealing with Pangea,
right?
Which before being called Africa, because that's a whole other situation, But before even the name Africa, we had a Amexem. And so America is Northwest Amexem. And so you're, in order to reroute yourself, I don't know if you know this, but Africa is the only landmass that's actually rooted into the planet Earth. Everything else is an island. Everything else is broken off from that root of the Earth.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's the center.
Yeah, and so America is an extension of that portion of Africa. So literally, it is connected in a sense to Morocco. You know what I mean? And so that's why you can say, well, you're here and you're in America, you can reattach yourself to being of Moroccan descent. You understand?
Yeah, because I dig with exactly what you're saying, because Pangea, that was considered by, I do believe it's Elijah Muhammad, Noble Ali, that was the first landscape, Pangea, So it's been different terms people throw out there. What was the first terminology when it represents the first land? I'm just trying to get some clarification. He said most of the other islands broke off from Africa, so why can't we call ourselves an African American? Because it seems like we are.
Well, you can call yourself whatever you like. We all, at the end of the day, are sovereign over our own souls. But in dealing with accuracy, and clarity, it's just easier to categorize by bloodline, and know exactly what lineage you are a part of. That way you know yourself even further. You know what type of things are particular, in terms of calling to your bloodline. Like, for instance, myself, I'm a medicine woman, and I come from a lineage of medicine, men and women. My father used to harvest seaweed in Trinidad and sell it to the people. My grandmother used to heal people with oyster shells, this and that. So me tying myself back to root gives me a greater understanding of my own purpose and my own natural abilities, And so that's the thing, when a person doesn't have a nation or doesn't have its parents, the whole knowledge of self is thrown off, and you're seeking and you're looking and you're trying to gravitate to things and stuff that is not of your own and that is not of your culture, and you're wondering why you're having a hard time or you feel like you don't know yourself. And so you're just working a job and doing this just to be, just to eat, just to, but not living, because you're not knowing your bloodline, you're not knowing your potential.
Can I add something? Yeah.
Yes, please. Thank you.
As far as not going by the term African, it's too broad of a term. If we intend on balancing the playing field and joining in the affairs of men on this earth, you have to pinpoint a nation. You have to have a flag. At the United Nations, there's no flag for Africa. There's no nation called Africa. Okay, so like it's like here in the West Coast in Los Angeles, like if you call a Mexican and El Salvadorian, they'll get mad at you because those are two totally different nations with totally different customs. Just because they look alike doesn't mean that they're the same nation. Like people are serious about their nationality. We tend to be the only ones that take it lightly. You know, nationality is the order of the day. It's an identity, like an individual, like your name. Like, you know, you want people to pronounce your individual name right. You want to be called by your name. Everyone around the world does that except us. So that makes complete sense.
That makes complete sense to me. I understand that more now from what you guys are expressing. But what I'm only thing about the Moroccan thing is how can you tell for some people who like Brother Grasshop, he was able to trace his lineage back to, did you say Ghana? Where did you trace it?
No, it's Kenya.
So for so many of us who are here right now who were part of the slave trade, because I know different people are like, well, no, we were already here. How do you know who was already here and who wasn't on the boat?
Well, that's a very valid point, and to my estimation or my understanding is that the Moorish Empire was global. It was a global empire. So there were many different bloodlines or you know, a part of it. That was a part of it. The first nation to recognize the U.S. as a sovereign nation was Morocco, because there were subjects of Morocco living here. Florida, for example, the state of Florida, before it became property of the Spanish, was property of the Empire of Morocco. It became property of the Spanish because that's who defeated us. So as far as calling ourselves Moors, it's because we were under the protection of that particular empire. And we were that empire, regardless of where the bloodline came from. Could have came from East Africa, came from Southwest Africa, Northwest Africa. This empire was vast. So that's why we choose more.
And it was an amazing time. I loved it. I mean, we ran this for over 1,000 years. I was like, bro, I love that.
Absolutely. And the royalty of Europe that's in place now, they can't even claim that royal lineage unless they acknowledge that the Moorish blood, that they have it in their veins. Because the first kings and queens of that area in Ireland and Britain were us. You know, we're vast.
Right. And exactly, brother already stated Ireland. We basically established a vast majority of the greatness on earth. You know what I mean? And these are just things that aren't really being expressed out loud. You know, they're not being taught in school. You know, when you learn in school, you're told, oh, you're a slave. That's where you started. You know, that's where your people survived and these different things. And I understand that the power structure that has these lies in place, what I understand is that it's embarrassed of its original culture. So keeping this lie upheld is only preventing itself from knowing itself, you know, and knowing the truth of itself, which personally I think that what the Caucasoid species went through and got through is something that they should know. You know, but just telling them, you are a king, you are a queen, you are this, you're upholding a lie. You know what I mean? And it's stopping them from even being able to connect with life or connect with the sun. You know what I mean? Understanding the steps they still need to take in order to really heal themselves. Because that's what it comes down to at the end of the day, is us just all being whole and functioning in divine order as one nation, a species. You know what I mean? For us to be able to get these things and go into the future of the existence of this plane, you know, in a higher space. And so yeah, you know, it's definitely something to shed light on and to open your ear to. The Prophet Noble really left a lot of fantastic information for us to truly know who we are, know what the potential of our species can be or of our people can be. And so another thing, I just wanted to talk about the intimate things that go along with being a so-called Moorish American or what have you. For one, yes, the religion is Islam. And with that, there is a huge emphasis on family structure and keeping the family whole. You know, and the women are really held very sacred. You know, and we are taught to value ourselves. You know, that we are the treasure in these different things. And so it really brings the order of the way things should be ran, you know, within a person. And it helps to reestablish culture because that's something that we've really lost along this process. Our people, so it helps you establish culture, and it really helps to iron you and to make you a better asset to humanity. You know what I mean? And so I would encourage anyone to go to a temple to try and find out where the Moorish Science temple is within their neighborhood or, you know, within the city or whatever is in close proximity, because it's like it's like a class in high school that we miss, or it's like a class in college that you miss. You know what I mean?
Right, exactly.
And it helps you to know more about yourself and helps you to unfold to your fullest potential. So yeah,
it's a class they never gave. It's a class in high school they never gave us. I have a question that's in the event page, whichever one of you guys would like to elaborate on it or discuss it, and then we're going to take our break. Who can we consider ourselves the Nubians as well? And is Nubian and Moor the same?
Well, Nubian, that is a valid term as well. You know what I mean? The only thing is that the Nubian Empire isn't so much established anymore. You know, but Nubia is a landmass within Africa. The reason why, you know, to tie yourself to Morocco, if you don't know your nation, is best, again, is because this is northwest Mexico, you know, northwest Africa, which is connected to Morocco and under control of the Moroccan Empire.
Okay. So are you saying, let me get this clear. Are you saying that right now the Moroccan Empire is still established and we can still belong to that empire? They're still established empire with their own government and all of that?
Exactly.
That's the Moorish Science Temple of America. That's us. We're here. We're here on this is our land. Northwest of Exum is another word for northwest Africa. This is the most westerly part of Africa. It was connected at one point. So
this is indeed. Okay, guys, let's take the right. Just everybody hold your thoughts right where you're at, because I want to get further into that, because my mind is just really opening right now. We're going to take a 5-minute break. We're going to play this song, and we'll be right back, family. All right, family, welcome back to the Super Conscious Outlet. If you're just tuning in, today's topic is Moorish Science. Let's uncover the secrets of our history. Let's learn more about who we are. True knowledge of self. So let me welcome back our guest, Goddess Sirah. Herb Alchemist, are you with us?
I sure am.
Ashe, and Brother God, Rashad Helham Bey, are you with us?
Yes, I'm here.
Thank you both for joining us. Once again, thank you for joining us. Before we went on a break, we were really getting deep into Pangea. That I was explaining the difference between the Nubian Empire and what it is now. Could you elaborate again? A lot of the listeners were hitting me up. They want to know a little bit more about the Nubian Empire and how how you were saying Morocco is still an established nation, which that's who we are as far as what the brother was explaining. Could you guys go back into that a little bit, Nubian, how that is a name we could be saying, but it's no longer an established place or nation or however you would say it. Touch on that again for me, please.
Right. Well, we're dealing with the land of Nubia, dealing with eastern portion of Africa where our people did reside and we had great kingdoms established. And it's broken up now. I would probably have to do some homework myself to be able to tell you what nations it is now. But yeah, that's a part. That's what were you saying, beloved?
The nation is Sudan now.
Okay, yeah. So it's Sudan. So there you go. There. So but when you're talking about, so yeah, okay. So Nubia that's relevant. We should know that part of ourselves. We should know those nations that were, successful in that portion of our time, in that portion of our history. And just dealing with more current circumstances, Morocco, the Moroccan Empire is also us. You know what I mean? And even more relevant to where we are standing. You know what I mean? Where we currently exist. Like we were saying, we're getting into a little bit of geography when we're speaking about, the Americas being an extension of that portion of Africa.
Sure.
So that's the point. That's the entire point. But that's not to say that we aren't Nubian. Just like we'll say, we are Kemetic. You know what I mean? And these different things. That's when you're getting more into the ancient times. So that's just more relevant for that time. That's
true. That's true. That's true. I like that.
I would say we lean more towards the term Moor because it was sort of our last known address. Prior to slavery.
Right.
Okay, so if we're gonna travel back in time, we gotta take baby steps. Who were we prior to slavery? What was the last name we did business in on this planet?
Right.
Which is Moorish. 1491.
Okay.
After the empire fell, so, a few hundred years later or 50 years later, you got this explosion of European exploration, and then you got the millions of people enslaved. Well, where did all these people come from? It was a defeated empire, a defeated nation, prisoners of war, if you will.
Right.
So there was a war that was fought. Someone lost, and someone went into slavery. And through slavery, a lot of things were stripped. A lot of maps were burned, books were burned, things were rewritten. But this is the re-emergence of us, So Nubian,
I love that.
Kushite, Kemite, Moorish, that's all us.
It's all
I love that. It's all us. I love that. Go, yes, sis.
Right at that point, right there at that point where the brother was demonstrating on in 1491 when we lost the battle, that's when we lost our name. That's when we were called. That's when they gave us the title black or bleak or bleached. And that's when we became that's when we became a bastard race of people. And so, definitely we have pride within our colorfulness, the colorfulness of our being, and the ability to connect to the sun, and that is having the melanation within our skin. That has nothing to do with that. I just want to say that for all of it. I know it's been beef, with the brothers within the movement about even more saying that. And just to bring further clarity, we love our connection. That's our connection to divine bliss, to the divine creator. But just in being exact or being, as logically as we can explain, being clear on what happened, these verses just that. So yeah, I just wanted to make that clear.
It hurts my heart to hear you say that's when we became a bastard race. Like, it just, I don't know, that just sent shocks right through my spirit. I do have a question for you guys that's in the event page. So, okay, I'm going to break it down for you. When, let's see, do you believe that the government recognizes, hold on, I'm sorry. Jay Allen wrote government, and I'm trying to read it, and it's so, okay. Do you believe that the government recognizes Moorish sovereign rights? And is it risky, in your opinion, for Moors to come from under the law of the land, meaning give up their Social Security number and driver's licenses, and still try to operate inside of this land?
I would say that they have no choice but to respect it, but it's risky only if it's not done by actors.
Right.
Because there's strength in numbers, right? So, the bottom line is this is our land, and there are documents to prove that this is our land. We allow Europeans to come, and set up a government for themselves. There were wars and everything, but we weren't just pushovers like that. But I would say it's risky if we don't do the homework, if we don't do the knowledge, if we don't understand completely what we're doing. But it's a blessing to be self-sufficient and to have your own identity and not be under the foot of anyone else. But freedom, like they say, freedom isn't free. It takes sacrifice and it takes vigilance, constant vigilance.
Do you guys have driver's license, or you guys don't drive? Do you drive without licenses, or how do you guys do it?
I still have a license. I still have a license. I'm not at that level yet to where I'm learning about that, but I still have a license, to be honest with you.
Right.
I'd
like to give my answer to the question as I
go ahead.
Hold on a second, please. Sister still got to be mama.
Yes. Take care of that baby.
Give me 1 second. So whether the government recognizes the Moorish nation or not, the treaties were established, and that paperwork still stands true. Like the brother said, this is still our land. And his second point, like, he was right on. I was just nodding my head the whole time, like, yes, because there is strength in numbers, and that's why it's so important for us to get the word out about the truth. You know what I mean? About what happened to us and about our names and about us not being black, about all of this. Because the more that we know and the more that we grow, the more respect we will gain. You know what I mean?
True.
And
right.
And I just want to tell nation here, because my people can understand things from different perspectives. When you're thinking of nation, you can also see it in terms of gangs and it's kids. You know what I mean? And I feel like sometimes our brothers who are trying to be a part of a gang are, in a sense, trying to reach back to some sort of nationality.
They are.
Because what do you have when you're in a gang? Okay, you have the protection of your gang.
Exactly.
What have you? I
you
ain't gonna call out
belong
no names
somewhere.
like Hallelujah or A-Trade against the Crips and all these different things. But you have the protection of your gang, you know what I mean, of your nation,
Right.
or have you. And so that's what what nationhood is about. So as the Moorish American nation grows, or the awareness that that's who you are, that's a part of who you are, it's like, okay, well, you're a gang, but y'all don't got much, people, y'all don't got much, you don't got much
right.
members. We can throw you over, and so that's why sometimes you may see Moors losing the battles in court when they don't drive with a license or what have you, this or that. So it definitely is still a movement that is building, you know what I mean? And when the Prophet was alive, there was much more, honoring of the treaties and honoring and respecting our people, And that's why it's really important for people to even really know who Noble Drew Ali is. That is like major. You hear about Martin, you hear about Malcolm, but would they ever put Prophet Noble Drew Ali in a history book? That man right there is so important to know. So, yeah, that's what I have to say, though, in regards to the brother or sister asking the question.
You kind of touched on my next question. Who is Noble Drew Ali? Was he a prophet? Hold on one second, you guys. I think we have a caller. Let's take this caller, Mr. Government. Let's take this caller right now before we go on to that. Brother Jay Allen, last four digits, 1450. You're on with the Superconscious Outlet.
Hey, what's up? You like that, right?
I think you need to apologize to me because I was reading that verbatim and I'm like, Government.
Nah, it's just that's just how I say it. But what I wanted to ask when we talk about the sovereign rights and things like that, and you guys said that it's strength in numbers. Do you guys think that a lot of our people are afraid to take that step? And if so, what can we do to get them out of that type of mind state? Absolutely.
And then
Go ahead. That's the answer. Absolutely, I feel people are afraid, but what I've learned about fear is that it's a lack of understanding about something. Okay. If you fear something, I say I use this in my life. If I fear something, I go learn about it. I study it, and that's what everyone does around the world. If they have a fear, they're going to get a healthy understanding of whatever that is that they're fearing. So the things that we say come from under the U.S., corporation, go into your own nationality, which was set up for you, for your earthly and divine salvation. If you fear leaving that system, learn about it. Don't just arbitrarily go into it and do it. No, that'll be dumb. Study it. Right. Go to a temple. Right. Saying what we're saying.
Yeah.
And face the fears. And that's why, it's not so much that we need every single person. The reality is that not everyone's going to get it. It's not everybody's time. You know what I mean? It's not everybody's time. They're in different stages of their soul. And so this information right now, this is for y'all. This is for everyone who's listening on this radio right now. You know what I mean? Because that's who it's not, those aren't the only people to reach, but if you have the ear to hear, then that's the step. When you have the knowledge in your hand, there's so many brothers and sisters that probably won't get exposed, to this knowledge. And some that will get exposed and they still won't choose to listen, but if you have that ear to hear, then go for it. You know what I mean? Because when you face your fears, that is when your soul expands. You understand? Right. Even if you face your fear to the degree that you aren't here anymore, in which that happens. You're still expanding because you're an infinite being. You're an infinite light.
Right.
Right.
So that's something that we get so caught up, like, oh, well, I'm not going to fully live out my life. I'm not going to fully become who I am because then I'm going to get killed. You know what I mean? We have this fear over just being ourselves, which becoming in tune with the knowledge, because with the knowledge of the history, because that's all it is. All we're simply giving you is a rerun of history. We're telling you what happened, before or when things went crazy, because you obviously know something went crazy. And if you don't know that, you're living in a lie. Know, so that's all it is. But if you don't want to just have the strength or the courage enough to say, well, I'm going to go and learn my story, well, then, like Harriet would say, I'm leaving you.
Right.
So then we'll say, okay, stay under master, stay on the plantation. That's your story, that's your life, but not mine. And we have to do that. And not all of us are going to do that, but we have to have those ones that will do it and show the other brothers and sisters that this can be. You know what I mean? And that's something that you, Koshana, and I want to set a moment to give thanks for you, because you are one of those sisters. You know what I mean? And it's so amazing for me to be close and connected to a sister like you. You feel me? Yeah, brother, that is a very valid point.
I have one more question before I get off the line. Okay, as far as learning the ins and outs as far as the law is concerned, do you guys feel like, would a person have to actually be a Moor to get that information, or can that be given by a Moor to just a regular average person?
I would say, as far as what information,
as far as understanding the law, the laws and how they apply to us.
I would say that it should be privy to Moors that have a clean heart, because you don't want to give this information to someone that's going to use it for evil,
Okay.
And that's one of the prime reasons that the Moorish Science Temple was set up, because our people after slavery, we had issues. We still have issues. So
correct.
You had to teach these people what we call Islam, the practice of peace. You had to get their hearts clean and pure and one accord with the Most High before you gave them these civic instructions on how to be a sovereign, on how, because if a person has an unclean or impure heart, they're going to use this stuff to do wrong and get away with it. So I would say that we have to use discretion on who we teach these laws to.
Okay, let me say this. Okay, I don't mean to take up all the time, but I just got to know this. Okay, as far as a person having a clean heart, does that mean? Are there people that have clean hearts and that are good people and stand-up individuals that are not Moors? You feel what I'm saying?
Well,
of course.
Are you speaking of like Europeans and things like that? Or are you talking
no,
about?
I'm talking about
us
our people. Our people.
Okay. They just have that. Just
don't. Ignorance. Sometimes you're more and you don't know that. That's why it's important for us to be those reminders. And you can have a pure heart of any nation. That's something like, we have to be clear. Like, there are Christians who have a clean heart, but that doesn't mean that they have the understanding in their mind. You know what I mean? And so we want the clean heart and the understanding. One thing I want to add, because I got to do this to him, Koshana. We really got to clean that heart out by cleaning that diet out. And that's one aspect, and that's one thing that the Prophet left as well, for us to eat right. For us to eat fruits, vegetables, seeds, nuts, herbs, spices, grains. He also mentioned, like, well, if you're going to eat meat, then let it be fish. Let it be something, of the ocean. So that's a step in having a clean heart. What you notice when you clean your heart, you clean your emotions, and you feel more free.
That is so true.
Yeah, you feel more free. You're able to give love, and you're able to receive love more, and that's all this information is. It's love. We love you enough, or the prophet loved us enough to give us this information about ourselves.
Right.
Because
you guys notice that some people have just such a weird resistance towards this information, and I think it's a deep subconscious program that's running that they will resist learning this. Just like Kemetic science, it's the same thing. You teach someone, it's your thoughts, your pineal gland. They're like resistant towards learning about who they truly are, as you guys were saying, and it's really weird. But I have one question too, because just like we were speaking on earlier about, and Jay Allen, I know you're still there, so just stay on. I'm gonna let you go. But stay on real quick. I have another question. Do you guys notice that, kind of like you were saying earlier about the gangbangers, they have somewhere they belong. They have a nation within their own nation. They've created their own nation for themselves, whether it is West Side, Compton, whatever. They have their own belonging. When I noticed with the Moors that were in L.A., that were a part of the Moorish symbol, I noticed that they were very secluded, and we didn't really fraternize with each other too much. Is that part of having a belonging to something else, and you don't feel comfortable talking to a regular, quote unquote, people who call themselves black, or is it because you guys feel that people show resistance towards the information, kind of like how people treat Jehovah's Witnesses? They don't want to talk to them. They close their door in their face. They're kind of rude. Do you guys feel like there's some type of resistance or an energy between you and or Moors and people who are considering themselves of all these other different descents?
Right. I would say, okay, when you're dealing with nationhood, like, you notice most nations, they spend money with each other, right? Like, you go to the Jewish community, they spend money with each other. You go to Ethiopian community, they spend money with each other. They fraternize with one another. They have their own, establishments together. You know what I mean? And so that's a huge thing that we don't understand is culture. When you get to culture, the root word of culture is cult. So that's why they say, they even hear, well, the Moors are cult.
Right.
We're all a part of a cult.
Right, we're all a cult,
we're all
right.
a part of various cultures. And so when you're seeing the Moors together, usually they're grouping with themselves because they understand themselves. You know what I mean? We speak the same language. It's like, you eat the same foods together. So that's all it is. Like, you may go out with somebody, and it's not that, you shut yourself off and you don't have any other friends from any different cultures or, you don't, like, oh, he calls himself black. I can't be with him. I can't hang around him. No. It's not like that. But you do like to fraternize with those who have like minds because what they do is they help you to unfold even more. And they help. When you're doing more science, you're dealing with science. So you're dealing with people of intellect who like to have a softening of the mind. When you look at the Moorish Empire, or when you look at the history of the Moors, we created cultural sciences and mathematics and all these different things. So it's about being a thinking person, And so sometimes you don't like to hang around people that will bring you down. For one, it's not about saying, "Oh, I'm better than," or this or that. But when you're on an incline, you like to keep on that incline. And so fraternizing with people who are also in the temple help you to stay on that incline. I personally like to sharpen myself with all sorts of different people of many different nations. And that's my own personal experience. I do know some Moors that they just stick to Moors, you know what I mean? But,
and
so
you're very universal.
Oh, thank you, sister.
Right.
Yeah.
Let's bring this caller in real quick, you guys. Let's bring in a caller with the last four digits, 2454. Oh, Brother Jay, thank you so much for joining us. I will let you go
thank
next.
you, guys. Thank you.
Okay. Caller with the last four, 2454, you're on with the Super Conscious Outlet.
Hey, Hotep people, how y'all doing this evening?
Peace, brother. How are you?
I'm living and loving life best I can. This is Brother Lamar.
Peace, Brother Lamar.
Just calling in. I've been listening since, I think, about 15 minutes into the show, and I was hearing a whole lot of stuff. There's some good stuff. I mean, you know, this is a phenomenal topic and something that most people need to hear, especially about the Moorish Science Temple and their teachings, because all religious institutions or spiritual institutions, they're all starting points. Everybody needs a starting point when you're born into this world. And the Moorish Science is probably one of the most solid when it's leading you into the metaphysics, because you're basically open to it before you even approach it. And all of the other fundamental, mundane, or exoteric teachings of religion, they basically keep you locked into a certain perspective of thinking. Now, I got a question. What's the difference between Jewish and Moorish?
Right.
Well,
what's the difference between Jewish and Moorish?
Right.
And that would be the same as what's the difference between a Jew and a Moor.
And a Moor, yeah.
That's a
so
question
when we're saying
I'm
Moorish,
out there. I'm asking a question.
When we're saying Moorish and Jewish, are we saying Moorish meaning like Moors? You know, because we know that Jewish means you're not really the Jew, you are Jewish.
Exactly.
And more. So
not
is that the same
to take
thing?
away from. They're actually one and the same. A Jew and a Moor is one and the same. A Jew is a Jewel or a crystal. A Moor means darkness, which is the same thing as a black crystal or carbon molecule. So when we talk about Moorish is actually not the original teachings. It is like the teachings because it was originally given to a people to give it back to a people. And they couldn't even comprehend the higher thought process that we obtained at that moment in time. So we had to reduce it down to less than what it really is. So now it's not true Moorish science. Because when you look at the word more science, you're gaining more knowledge, you're gaining more consciousness. But what are we gaining when we keep these finite physical principles locked inside of our realities? We stay limited beings, and now we trapped within this reality. But I wanted to bring that up because somebody mentioned what's the difference, what does Sufism have to do with Moorish science? Moorish science or Sufism is one and the same. It's basically the esoteric teachings of Islam. And when you look at the word Suf is the same thing as Saf, just like Sophia, and it's talking about wisdom. You get the knowledge of it, you get the wisdom of it. So all of the exoteric and esoteric teachings of every religion is basically knowledge and wisdom of what it is, but the understanding is your judgment of it. And Moorish science is not it completely. It is a piece of the pie, just as Christianity is a piece of the pie, Judaism, Islam, all of those different religions are all pieces of the pie that have to be brought to a point. And this is when you start dealing with the real Moorish science. And like the brother mentioned earlier, he was saying that it's I forgot what the brother was saying earlier. But I don't want to take too much time up. I just want to kind of go into that word more. Because when you look at the word more, M-O-O-R, more is the same thing as Meru, M-E-R-U, because all vowels are numerically equal. It can be interjectionally switched within a word because we know there were no vowels before the Old English.
Mm-hmm.
And speaking of Old English, that when they went into Spain, that's why the Old English 800 40 that you see is burgundy and gold.
Oh, wow.
Because it's talking about the Moorish Science, and it was a malt liquor. They created the malt liquor, bringing Malta from other regions and bringing it into Europe. And actually, when the Moorish Empire was in Spain, that was when it ended. That was the end of Hannibal.
Right.
Hannibal, and that's when it was Etruscans there. When all of the Europeans were primarily black, and like y'all said, there's different blacks.
Right.
Because anything
I just want to say, in regards to the brother's question as well, when you say Jewish, you are saying like Jew, like you're like a Jew, because the original Jews were the melanated race. They're a very dark skinned race.
No, that's what I'm saying. That's the Moor and Jew is one and the same. They're both black crystals. Because your physical body is nothing more than crystallized light, so they were the black crystals.
Right, and so when you say you're Moorish American, you're saying that you're tying yourself to the Moroccan Empire, yet and still you are a citizen of the Corporation of America. Well, it's really the Corporation of the United States.
Absolutely.
But you're still a citizen. You know what I mean? And I think that's while you're sovereign, meaning you have the protection of another nation over you, you also still do business in this corporation, which is a huge portion of Moorish Science as well. The Prophet wants us to take that back as well, building our own businesses. You know what I mean? And
on that
note,
when it's kind of like what you're saying right now, all we're doing is siphoning the power back to the source that we're trying to get away from or give it from. When we talk about doing business, matters if it's a black-owned business, you still dealing with a tangible item with a face on it that doesn't look like yours. As long as you're dealing with physical, worldly, I don't want to say white man because the white man is the light man, which is only dealing with physical principles. As long as you're using this as a source of trade, you still under the influence. You still being ruled by him. The real money is attention. Think about it. We all have to pay attention to something to get money. Is we giving our time to gain some money. So when you look at paying attention, spending time on, this is just like giving money, but that's the real money. It's your attention. It's what you're gaining, because everything that you gain in the physical, when you physically leave, ain't none of it coming with you. You just kept yourself busy doing business, which kept you busyness. And as long as you're busy, you're distracted from truly understanding that more science, not Moorish. The Moorish is still keeping you with eternal principles. It goes deeper than that. We're talking about infinite, where you find the real more or the real you. And as I was mentioning earlier, I'm getting ready to finish. I don't want to take too much more time. But when you look at more is the same thing as Meru. And Meru is the first primal sphere that came out of nothingness. That's even in the Kemetic teaching, all throughout. Yeah. And Meru is that first point that was made out of it, and that would be the same thing as Sut Typhon. And Sut Typhon goes to the Sufi, the son of wisdom, or the black sun. And then when you go from Meru, you go to Moran or Morin, which is the darkness inside of yourself. And then you get the Moran, and then you get the Moors. And even today, the consciously thinking, you would think that the Moors are sellouts for doing what they did by teaching this European what he did. But if we didn't do that, what would we be learning right now in stasis mode? Nothing. We would be worse off than we are going through what we're going through. But it's a reason we did everything that we did, like the sister mentioned. This is all divine law. And the Moorish Science Temple is a phenomenal start for anybody that's looking to grow on a continent.
Right.
Thank you.
I wanted to speak to you directly. It's like when you have a baby, right? You give birth. What's the first food? The first food is milk.
Yep.
Right.
The first food is milk, and so that is what the Moorish Science Temple is. is milk, because that's that nourishment. To know oneself is nourishment. Yet and still, while we are infinite, of course, the time never stops. And I give thanks for you as well, because you stand for those who are there, who are at that grade. However, not everyone is there. So you give the baby the milk before you give the baby the meat, so it can digest it with ease. So give thanks.
And that was the way we gave the teaching to them, so that they can digest it or regurgitate it back to us. Because when we receive it, all we are bodies of potential energy. So whatever kinetic energy comes in, we're going to make it more than what it is. But I just want to thank y'all for having me on the show. I want to continue to listen. I don't want to take up too much time because I'm loving this show.
You are always more than welcome to join us and add your add point. Thank you so much.
Okay.
Peace, bro.
Okay, I have a couple questions in the event page for you guys, family. So let me ask you guys, and then I want you to also definitely give honor and shout out to Noble Drew Ali was, because we do need to understand who he was also. But let's ask. Some are wondering what are all of the titles of Moors, such as Noble, Bey, Day, El. What do these titles signify? What do they mean?
Well, the Bey were the governors. Il means God, or Allah. So these are attributes that we put upon ourselves that came from our ancestors. If you're gonna get your life correct, you have to govern your life. You have to be a just governor in the affairs of your life, and that's what the Bey is on the land. Ali is a title for the masters. Noble Drew Ali for the prophets and things like that.
Oh. Okay, and Goddess Siddha, why don't you guys give us a brief history on who Noble Drew Ali was? And I know he is a prophet. How did we determine that? And I know he's not a mystical character like with a lot of the prophets that we've heard of. So let's talk about that.
Okay, well, Prophet Noble Drew Ali, he was born in North Carolina, and he was a prophet of his time. He's a prophet of our time, yet and still, because we haven't gotten it yet. When you're dealing with a prophet, you're dealing with a messenger, one who walks as the vehicle for the Creator to speak through and demonstrate through. Like Jesus, like Buddha, or if you're not referring to the term Jesus, Yahshua, like many revolutionaries. Because that's another thing. The prophet was a revolutionary, one of the first in this new revolution that we're undergoing. And so, but yeah, he is the prophet he's the prophet of nationality, if you will. Prophet of understanding nation. Let me just say one point, because this is so, in order to understand Prophet Noble Drew Ali, you have to first study Brother Marcus Garvey, because Noble Drew Ali is the student of Marcus Garvey. When you look at Marcus Garvey is a prophet. Marcus Garvey was a prophet of Noble Drew Ali's time. Do you see what I'm saying?
Right.
So, were you going to say something, beloved? I sensed that you needed to say something or speak.
Who, me?
Kosana? Yeah, I thought you were going to ask.
Oh, no, I was listening. I was listening, because that makes so much sense what you were saying about Marcus Garvey and him studying under Marcus Garvey. Marcus Garvey being one of the first people to really push nationalism and coming together as a nation. But go ahead, sis. I'm listening. I'm all ears. I'm learning.
Oh, okay, wonderful. Prophet Noble Drew Ali first established the temple in Chicago, Illinois, and his movement, when he began, caused the stock market crash. Like, this is how powerful this brother was. He was so fly. I encourage everyone to go try and see a picture of this brother because he was a straight king, okay? He taught people he had swag, what you would say, right? And he basically left the message like, hey, demonstrate like me, like I'm your brother, I'm helping you, I'm showing you the way, demonstrate this way. And his way was very, very royal, sisters dressed in, you forget just natural hair, we was rocking the flyest threads. You feel me? Looking like queens. And he left that for the reason why we rock like we do today, sis, Koshana, is because his brother had us rocking like that back then. You're dealing in a time where we're 40 years out of slavery. You know what I mean?
Oh, wow.
And he had us on a level with so much power. We were spending with each other when the prophet was demonstrating. We were eating right. We were doing things together. We were building what you would say now. People would say, "Oh, black," supporting black business or this, that. We were building nationhood, and we were creating a name for ourselves and creating a respect, and we were putting fear in other nations, letting them know, hey, we know who we are. You know what I mean? And so,
you have me in love. I'm already in love with them now. Go ahead. Wow. Yes, please.
Okay. Prophets all have the same duty. The duty of a prophet is to save the particular nation that they come from. All prophets spring from the nation that they come to save. So the duty of a prophet is to save nations from the wrath of Allah. Now, our slavery, it wasn't due to the part that Europeans came and overtook us. It was due to our disobedience to our divine creed and our teachings. We turned our back on it. So we suffered slavery. There's no chastisement worse than the chastisement that comes from the Most High. So when you turn your back on the Most High, you suffer.
Can you elaborate on that? How did we turn our back on it?
We started amalgamating with other nations, taking on their teachings. Amalgamating means to mix, so physically mixing with them, spiritually mixing with them, and turning from our ways that made us unique and powerful, and taking on the ways of the people that we brought into the light. We started taking on their ways. So when you turn your back on your own, you're gonna fall and suffer. All nations, that's according to our teachings, all nations have suffered slavery due to sin and disobedience.
Hold that thought right there, brother. I definitely want to talk on that because we always wonder, how did this happen to us? Even when it deals with metaphysics, how did we attract this? So hold there 1 minute. We do have 2 callers in queue, so we're going to take them in, and then I want you to touch back on that. So don't lose where you're at, because I definitely want to get into that, because even within myself, I'm always asking that question, how did this happen? And I'm sure all of us are asking, how did we come from one of the most powerful nations, one of the greatest people, and then to go through what we're experiencing over the last few hundred years? First caller, the last 4 digits, 2465. Are you with the Superconscious Outlet?
I am. Greetings, Kashana and guests of the Moorish Temple of America.
Greetings. How are you?
Okay. I wanted to know the Moorish Temple's views on revolutionary freedom fighters, some successful, some not, such as Amilcar Cabral, Nat Turner, Kwame Nkrumah, Jamel Al-Amin, Stokely Carmichael, Martin Luther King, the Black Panther Party, Patrice Lumumba. What is the Moorish Temple's views on these revolutionaries? Most of them lost their lives in the struggle for liberation and revolution. And then if I can get a follow-up, how was the stock market crash caused by Noble Drew Ali?
All right. In my opinion, those freedom fighters are held in high regard by the Moorish Science Temple of America, and are given high honors for their bravery and valor and courage. You know, these are our freedom fighters as well, because regardless of what people choose to call themselves, I see all of you guys as Moors, you know, and I respect what people choose to identify themselves as. But in my eyes, we're all Moors. So the freedom they were fighting for was for all of us, and you know, that went into their failures, such as COINTELPRO, you know, agents, traders, you know, and that's why unity. Like, I think we've tried everything, but massive unity. Like, unity is the answer, you know, and we have to unify under one common banner. Like, that's one common name and one common banner, or otherwise it won't. I don't think the movement will work. It'll still be, you know, divisions and things like that. So mass unity is what I feel was lacking from the freedom fighters movement. Even though, you know, they had backing and stuff, we need all of us. But like the sister said, everybody's not going to get it, but we need the majority of us to get it.
Right. And, you know, exactly what the brother said, they were also prophets.
Absolutely.
They also had a message. You know, they are all a piece. You know, we are all one at the end of the day, right? We're all one creator. We're all microscopic existences of that one creator. You know, so these brothers were definitely, you know, Christ beings. They walked the path of a Christ, like the Prophet Noble Drew Ali. The thing is that we stand clear on and we rep for the Prophet Noble Drew Ali so hard because his name is not known enough. You know, and I hope to God that there is movement for those brothers too, and people know what these brothers were about, the way that the Moorish Americans rep for Noble Drew Ali. But the Prophet Noble Drew Ali left such concentrated information that was so hidden from us, and that is so critical to this very point and stage in this existence. You know what I mean?
Can I get a follow-up to how Noble Drew Ali caused the stock market crash?
I would say just by his...
Yeah, in regards to that, we were spending with each other.
Right.
You see, we were working so much with each other that we were not supporting their business. We are probably the biggest consumers, if I'm not mistaken. We are huge consumers right now. Could you imagine if all of the wealth that we put into all of these companies and businesses that are, a lot of them killing us at the end of the day, could you imagine what would happen to the dollar? Like how it's happening right now, like that's a curse word. Sisters here in America are beginning to recognize their own beauty and wearing their hair more naturally, and the fake hair sales have been dropping, or the weed sales have been dropping. So when you do something like that, you're pulling that wealth back into yourself. You know, you're going to go and find some shea butter or this or that. You're supporting your people more. So that market is suffering. And so we were doing it on such a mass scale back then because we were all in tune with Allah, with law, you know, and with our culture, that we were keeping the wealth within.
And another thing, just by him founding the Moorish Science Temple of America and receiving the land grants from the Pan American Conference of 1928, giving us our vast estate back, proclaiming to the world that the Moors are once again on the land and in their proper persona. A lot of investors from other nations, Europe, their money out of the U.S. government. If the land is going back to the rightful owners, then why would we invest in that? So that caused the depression as well.
Right.
Right now, I'm sorry, because like I said, I am a student today. The most I know about the Moors is what I've learned from Hidden Colors. So are you telling me that they were able to make the stock market crash?
We were.
Yes.
You
we were. That is super powerful. I mean, we have to tap back into that understanding. If anything, if we don't learn anything from this show, I want everyone to take note of that information, because I had no idea that. So that just blew my mind when he said it. Thank you to the caller who called in, brother. Thank you for tuning in with us and vibing with us. Ashe. I do have another question for you guys that's in our event page. Sister Liz Rebecca, who's also a goddess of her own show, she wants to know, weren't we also known as the netters because of nature? And wait, hold on, we do have another caller also. So hold 1 minute, caller. We're going to get right to you. And if the Mechanetter is the word of God, or the word which is the seeds of God, wouldn't we also be known as God? Weren't we called that before we were called Africans, Blacks, Egyptians, Nubians, or Moors?
Right. When you're dealing with the word netter or unter, you're dealing with nature.
Right.
And so, in a sense, we are netter, or what they would call today God, because that's the translations for netter of the day. We're all nature. And every living thing is nature. Every plant, every bird, every tree, every flower, every fish, everything is all unter. It's all a part of nature. It's all one.
Right.
And so remember when we first started this conversation and I was speaking on us getting even forward. Yes, know who you are, know your lineage, know these microcosmic things, know these, what do you call it? It went to my head. But know these compartmentalized ideas so that we can get forward into being galactic beings. This is just a process, but you can't just give everybody okay, well, just give me the galacticness. You have to take steps so you can have full understanding. There's a reason why we even became human. You know what I mean? And all these different things. But we are netter. We are unter.
I love that. Let me take this next caller in. Caller with the last 40492. You are on with the Superconscious Outlet.
I have you on speakerphone because I'm using my hands right now. Can everyone hear me clearly?
I can hear you, brother guy. How are you?
Hey, Sid, how are you doing? This is Bruce.
I'm doing wonderful.
Okay, I'm going to go off of subject and stay on something that someone had mentioned before. And this is just opinion, y'all. This is just an opinion. But being in fact that we have tried mostly everything, I think all of our, and this is opinion, y'all, don't kill me for this, but I think that we should direct our energy toward uniting us only. Because even once we unite, and we all in the conscious community that's listening to this great show right now can shut up for an hour and a half, we still cannot come up with step by step what would happen once we unite. Because it is so powerful that our minds right now can't even conceive it. We can say that, it'll be this, it'll be that. But step by step, by us uniting, is so powerful that we can't even imagine it. You know what I mean? And I just feel like, and I'm doing it right now in my city where I live at in Florida. I'm in St. Petersburg, Florida. For anyone that's close to me, get with me on Facebook, please. But other than that, I do use Facebook as a future Underground Railroad. I am in some of these people who are calling in right now inboxes. I am texting some of these people that call into this show, and we're in mass communication with one another. We can't allow fear. We can't allow fear to play a major role in us not uniting. And my sister Kashana kind of gets on me about this because she is my spiritual sister, and I love her. But I try not to go on the roll on worrying about changing anything outside of myself. But it is so hard when our physical conditions is the way it is right now. And if everybody, grandparents love us and our parents love our children, then we're not sticking together and changing for our children's future. Let us pay attention to. We're going to be crazy about our grandchildren too. And right now we have a situation right now. Currently, y'all, I don't know if it's in California or what have you, but in Florida, here is the post is my current situation, and then it might be I'm at work doing this. That our current situation has it that, and we're not separating ourselves from the masses of our people. So I say our current situation is that we have people in living rooms in front of our children saying that black people are never going to stick together. Black people won't ever stick together because of this. Black people, and so what we do as a conscious community, y'all, we have to be that light. There's no reason for us to know as much as we know and still not making our energy toward uniting us alone. It takes a lot of us to unite to show others that you need to unite too.
I agree.
You know, once our children, this is the process. So once our children see us uniting, then they grow up differently. And I don't want to unite to be here to vote and be a part of these politics because there'll be another Black Wall Street. We have to unite with a plan. Ashe, I love this show. Whoever that was, calling.
I have an answer for this, and I just can't bring it in.
Stay on. He wants to speak with you.
Huh, sis?
I'm telling him, stay on, brother. She's going to answer that for you. I love.
I'm here. I feel so privileged. I'm like Jay Allen tonight. I get to talk and then be talked to. This is cool. Go ahead. I'm listening.
Go ahead, sis.
The Real Family Reunion, Return of the Gods. That's the only answer I have for this brother right here, right now. In all due honesty, beloved, that is right now the current flow that we are in. We are in this process of uniting. And when I say the Real Family Reunion, Return of the Gods, it's a celebration. In fact, it's a vision of my sister, Kateria, Goddess Kateria Knows, which is on the show right now. Shout out to Kateria Knows. So much love to her. This sister had a vision given to her by the Creator of us coming together. And I've been her servant in her vision because I believe in it that much. You know what I mean? I'm not sure if you've heard of the Real Family Reunion. Our first celebration was in Los Angeles, and we were able to pull together at least 1,200 to 1,700 people, and it was a celebration of consciousness, a celebration of the planetary shift. A celebration and reconnection of our nation, of our people. We honored our master teachers there. We honored Reverend Mary Karab, Karask Unity Center in Los Angeles. We honored Michael Beckwith of the Agape Spiritual International Center. We honored Dr. Delbert Blair. We had Professor Griff speak, Brother Siddiqui Bakari, healers like Dr. Keating, and so we have people doing that work out here, and so I would love to see your face and shake your hand at that gathering, beloved, because that is exactly what we are striving to do, because that's the time, it's that time right now. So,
this is what I'm
and that's a word, please.
This is what I'm doing with the brothers that are in my city. I'm in St. Petersburg, Florida. and I along with other brothers with like minds, we're getting together, and I call it. I've been tagging it. I've been hashtagging it for about 2 months now, which is hashtag Roundtable, because we have Europeans that came together, whether it be the Knights of the Templar or Knights of the Round Table, that got together and developed a plan. And all of these things that we're complaining about right now in society, it requires our participation. And so I say round table because once I begin to unite and with like minds in this city, I would definitely love to get over there where you guys are on my news feed in California. I'm almost jealous, but I said, you know what, I'm done being jealous, and I started to do the process in my own city.
You got nothing to be jealous of. I love me some Florida. Oh my goodness.
But it's very powerful. It's very powerful. Here's the beauty of it all. How I speak to my brothers and sisters here is you have to smile when you recognize that we're uniting, because our family, our ancestors went into the deserts and built something out of nothing. And if you can unite black people, then you are doing the impossible, because they say that's impossible for black people to unite. And so this job that I take on my shoulders and do with other brothers here, I'm smiling while I'm doing it because this is fun. This is impossible. You can't get black people to unite. But this is impossible,
right.
This is revelations in the Bible because all of these things that we're doing naturally, but it's inevitable. It's something that you can't stop, which is reuniting the gods of this planet, us.
Divine order. Divine order.
And back on top of Bruce Moore would drop the E and listen to more of his Moorish Science and his knowledge. I love the show, sister.
I say thank you so much, God, Bruce. Appreciate you for vibing with us.
I want to say something.
Go ahead, brother. Yeah, please.
Just real quick. In the Moorish Science Temple, we have a lot of sayings that Prophet Drew Ali left. He would say things like, "Love is the only savior of the world," and he would say things like. One thing that was told to him when he went to Woodrow Wilson to get our flag back, right? When Woodrow Wilson was I think he was a state senator at the time, they told Noble Drew Ali, "Go ahead, preach your message. They won't hear you. We did a good job on those Negroes." Oh. And when I hear stuff like that, I take it personal. Like they're saying they did a job so detrimental that we will never be able to recover, right?
Right.
But and that's why Drew Ali is the prophet, because it's happening. It's happening.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's happening.
Right.
So this is the uplifting of fallen humanity. If we change in America, the whole world will change.
Oh
the whole world.
Am I hello?
Yeah, say something, brother. Go ahead.
Okay, I'm so glad I'm still here. I thought I was gone. Hey, we have, with the power of our minds, let us fully recognize as conscious people that we cannot speak the doubt into existence. And so what I'm saying is I'm not getting on the attack, but I'm almost to the verbatim. When I speak to people here, that because my city is not as awakened as a lot of cities are. My city has no culture, so I'm a part of other brothers here bringing culture to the city. But we can't afford to continue to say things like "if black people," because what I say is when. And what we are doing, speaking these things into existence and getting rid of self-doubt. And I'm so not attacking my brother who just said that, but thank you for the platform to say that on the air, because a lot of times in our conversation we fall back and say things like that.
I agree. I appreciate that.
Okay. We got this. I honestly,
Kasana is very big on affirmations and speaking things into existence, and I had teachers prior to linking back up with her in the physical form on Earth. But that is so true. When we say we're going to try to do this, then we're accepting failure in the beginning. Hey, I tried to get that job. And then Nike tells us all around the country, y'all, what? Just do it. And so these words are very powerful. Although we're spelling, that means we're casting a spell, right? And that's how they say it. We're casting a spell, right? Then let's use these words the right way. And what we're doing is we're doing our part in the end of their book, which is Revelation. We're doing our part. I tell people all the time, and I'm going with this one. I'm going again. But I tell people all the time, how you view me, I have an entire conscious community that I just steal pictures from all day, and ideas and so much knowledge and so much information from that I'm supported by a lot of knowledge. So rather than see Bruce as anybody being smart, it's shows like this and Jay Allen shows that I just sit and just grab nuggets from. And so whoever that was that's attention is the real money, please friend request me. I don't even know his name, Kashana, but I need like minds like that to continue to feed me over here on the East Coast. Ashe.
Yes. Ashe. Love. Appreciate that energy. Okay, family, we are coming to the closure of the show, but before we do, I do want you to touch back on Brother Rashad. You were saying that we attracted this to ourselves, and in the terms, words that we use in metaphysics, we say we attracted these things, and you said that it was because we fell. We started to practice other people's concepts of spirituality, culture, and things like that. Can you touch back on that? Because I really found that as a profound information. That's something that I'm always questioning within my own spirit, is how did we get in this position?
Indeed. And that was one of my questions. Like, if we were so powerful, like I would hear these glorious tales of the Moors and of Kemetic people, Africa. I'm like, well, how did we fall? What happened? If we were so powerful, I know they didn't just come in and beat us up, but we weakened ourselves. We turned against each other. We started slaughtering one another. We started taking on the religions of other nations, and we weakened ourselves to a point where we could be conquered. And we fell in thought first, So in order to fall physically, you have to first fall in your thought process. So we fail we fail in our spiritual strength first, and we suffer slavery. And all nations go through some kind of slavery or some kind of turmoil because they turned their backs on their way of life. And then a prophet is sent to them after the Most High feels that their time for suffering is up. And that's what Noble Drew Ali is to us. He came at a time where Allah was like, okay, you served your sentence. Now it's time for justice. It's like the resurrection. We're not going. And one more thing before we go about the word black and how they say, according to science, it means death. Well, Negro is the same word in Spanish. It means black, and that stems from the Greek word "cro" means dead. So if you look into the Oxford, Necro, necro. So if you look into the etymology of the word necromancy in the Oxford English Dictionary, you look up necromancy, and it'll tell you the root. The word is synonymous with Negro, which is translated into black. So that when we say black means death, it stems from the word necro, the Greek word dead. The necrophagy
is a person who sleeps with dead people, or necrosis. The process of necrosis when the body begins to decay. So that's absolutely right. And so I just wanted to also close in saying one thing. There's been a lot of question of why we came to the place that we have arrived. And one word that I hear ringing in my head is cycles. Everything is a cycle,
Yeah.
And everything has a polar existence. And that polar existence allows it to be whole, It is important for us to experience what we have experienced and what we have gone through in order for that pressure to be applied for us to become the true diamond melanated beings that we are.
Yeah.
You know, and we have to grow through this and know that through the ultimate, because it doesn't get no worse. You know, when you hear your babies were cut out of your stomach and bashed onto the ground, and you've seen your men turn into women, and you've seen your eyes, and you've seen your land and your food and your people just die, it doesn't get any worse. You know? Yet and still through that, we are still here, and we are still alive, and we are still becoming our ultimate self, and we indefinitely and ultimately will run and rule this earth again. And this earth will come into divine order with the order of the universe. You know, but even chaos is a form of disorder. Before things are brought into order within the universe, it is first chaos. But yet and still the chaos is still a part of the equation. It is still a part of the ultimate and divine plan. You know, so that's one thing I want to be for us to know. It's so much bigger than we ever possibly even conceive of and imagine. You know, you don't just know that, but just to take that edge and that pain and that, like, why me? Oh no, and I'm so this. No, you are that great that even yet and still, after we've gone through everything we've gone through, we still have knowledge. We still have our minds. We still have our Creator. We are still here, and we are still powerful, and that will never, ever, 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 ever end because we are the Creator.
Right.
We are my new attribute of I say.
That's right.
Peace and love.
Right, sis.
If I would just love to have the family follow me on Twitter.
Yes. Shout that out. How can they find you?
Yeah. CYRAH BIANKA. If you could put that up on the board too, sis, for people. Also on Facebook. I'm on Facebook. And I'm also the owner of All My Healing Services. Come get your body right, get that heart clean. ANNASHS.com. Peace and love, fam.
Spell it one more time for me, sis. CYRAH.
CYRAH.
BIAN.
BIANKA.
And that's on Twitter?
Yes, that's on Twitter.
And then what's the website for All My Healing Services?
ANMAS, and that's 2 M's as in mother. ANMAS, HS, H as in happy, S, com. AmasHS.com.
Okay, got it. And do you guys have, I know you just gave your last words, Brother Rashad, do you have any last words to share with our family?
I just appreciate you allowing me to be part of the panel today, and I give honor to the sister that was a part of the panel with me. And it's just beautiful. Like, this is my first time ever doing this, and I was a bit nervous, but it's just beautiful how it unfolded and the callers that came in. It's just beautiful to see the uplifting and falling humanity, like, you know, so I just want to continue this and just continue to grow.
Thank you so much for joining us. We truly, truly appreciate both of you guys. It was an amazing show. I'm definitely feeling more open, more uplifted. It makes so much more sense now because I really didn't understand everything, and you guys really were amazing teachers tonight. I hope the family took notes. If there's any questions, I know they can inbox you. Or Goddess Siddha Bianca, you can find her. She's Siddha, the Herb Alchemist on Facebook, Siddha Herb Alchemist, and Rashad Parham Bey. Parham is spelled Parham. Be sure if you want to talk to them, family, you can always inbox them, and they will, definitely connect with you guys. So much love for you, brother and sister, for joining us tonight.
All right, thank you. Peace and love.
Peace and love.